Arfield, what a bullet! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Bruno. Saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On by Paul Teller. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day!
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class!
Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast. Full-time show after we lost to Manchester United on Saturday evening. As you can see, I'm here. I've got an hat on. Not really relevant. I don't know why I mentioned that. But Neil's also here. How are you doing, Neil?
Mate. No one would have noticed. You shouldn't have said out.
I know I should have said out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know when you're a bit poorly. I don't know if I mentioned it off camera, lads, but I'm a bit poorly. I just feel a bit more comfortable in a hat. Yeah, I just feel a bit more comfortable in a hat when I'm not well. So stuck a hat on. And Sam, you like a hat, but you're not wearing one today. How are you, mate?
I've had a trim, that's why.
I'm
all right, mate. We've all had man flu over the weekend, but I'm feeling a bit better.
Looks like it. I'm currently battling it right now, but I'm sure we'll pull through. First of all, apologies that the show is a little late. I know we normally do it on Sunday morning or Sunday evening where we can, but I was working yesterday and Nathan selfishly had a wedding anniversary. What's all that about? He obviously didn't think about that 3-4 years ago, did it? Or whenever it was he got married. But thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. But of course, we're here to discuss the Manchester United defeat. Get your comments in. Let me know how you thought the game went, how you thought Burnley played. I think it's fair to say Burnley played quite well, but just lacked a little bit of cutting edge. I think pretty much everybody agrees on that, but we'll get into it a little bit deeper. Neil, your thoughts on the game and Burnley's performance, please.
Yes, mate. So I think I said it in my full-time thing, but the performance pleased me quite a bit considering we sort of started well against City, then we were a bit crap against Villa and Spurs. And I said then the performance was the most worrying thing because the games are not games that we would expect to get anything from anyway, which I know is showing respect to the opposition, but let's be real, they're not. I said in my review, if we'd gone down the list, we probably wouldn't have picked these games as ones to get something out of. But performance-wise, it's been shocking. But on Saturday, I thought we played really well. I thought that it showed that the system's starting to click a little bit. We did like that cutting edge, and there was a little bit of naivety in some of the decision-making that went on, but which you're going to get with young players. But equally, I'm a bit gutted. As much as I think it's a game that you probably don't expect to get out from, that's probably the worst United team I've ever seen post-Fergie. And they were there for the taking, and we just didn't quite have it. We missed Foster badly, which none of us would have predicted a year ago. But it does show that we perhaps need someone else in backup if he gets injured or has a dip in form or something like that, because without him, I couldn't see where a goal was coming from.
Or when he goes to the AFCON, which I think South Africa have qualified, haven't they? So we're going to have a month potentially, January, 2 weeks minimum without him. That is a bit of a gaping hole in the Burnley squad at the minute. Sam, your thoughts on the performance and the result, please, mate?
First half, unbelievable. First half was honestly some of the best football we've played. Koleosho probably had Dallo on absolute strings. You could see the way the team was trying to play. The best move was the move where I'm doing a hit the post, and I said it the whole game. Playing out wide is all well and good. When you've got a player like Koleosho, it works. And the way we scored against Forest was like that. Like, get him free, and he's brilliant. Shove him in a cul-de-sac and make him run at 2 players and not really give him an out ball. It doesn't. He doesn't thrive in those situations. He thrives in getting in behind and running at defenders. In this game, I think we really let ourselves down in the second half. I think the second half performance was too passive. We were so naive in the situation. And one of my biggest gripes with the performance overall is, in my opinion, and it's not the opinion of everybody, but the second half outweighed the first half, because we went 1-0 down just at the end of the first half. In the second half, get the lads in, 15 minutes, tell them what you want, and nothing happened. Literally, we never looked like scoring in the second half. And Neil's right, that United team wasn't great. And the way we played, we outplayed them in the first half. And we knew that they were there, and we knew that we could get something from it. And it just felt like we just never really got going in the second half and really missed an opportunity to get something from the game.
No, yeah, I agree. The second half was very passive. But do you not think maybe that's a credit to Man United, or do you think it was maybe something we did wrong, or do you think it was Koleosho and Ramsey who, in my opinion, ran the first half, especially for the Burnley, ran the first half? They were just blowing out their arses because they both had to come off.
They just ran out of steam. I think that's what it is. It was just. Yeah. It's not that they're not fit. You can't say they're not fit because company's had them back since June. But it's that intensity the first half. Obviously, they haven't got it in them, and maybe Benson and Zuru should have come on a bit sooner to try and keep that intensity up a little bit.
I think it's my thing is, I think it's a mixture. I think it's partially because I can't give much credit to that Man United team, because we didn't, like, in the second half, we can't say like they defended valiantly or they defended smartly. We didn't offer anything, so they didn't have to do a right lot to get anything. Like, they'd already got the goal out of nothing. Like, the goal is atrocious. Like, Johnny Evans has no right playing a ball like that. So where he's pulled that from, I have no idea. It is a good ball, but I've had this argument with loads of people, and if I'm a defender in that situation, there is no way that I'm allowing Fernandes to watch the ball all the way down onto his foot so he can hit the ball. I'm throwing something in front. If he turns me and I dive in and I look like a wally, then that's where you're like, that's class football. You've basically given him Bayer, in my opinion, just basically said, just shoot. You're not going to score, shoot. And it's Bruno Fernandes. Like, he's a good player. All he needs is a moment like that and he'll score. I thought he should have just thrown something at him, but I wouldn't personally say United were like this unbelievably defensive outfit in the second half. I can only remember like 2 chances in the second half, and it was one of them was that Bayer half chance header. What's his name? Sander Berge half chance header from a corner. Other than that, I didn't really see much. And like I say, maybe it's just a bit of a pessimistic view, but I just haven't. That first half was so good, and then to have that second half just felt so disappointing. And in my opinion, just kind of, I forgot about the first half because the second half was so slow.
I agree with the second half thing. There's someone in the comments, who we'll get to it in a minute, doesn't. But I do think we just didn't do enough in the second half. But United weren't overly defensive, but they definitely took a step back. And I just think we didn't know what to do. I just think we didn't have the creativity at that time in the second half to be able to create any chances, really. The first half was a lot better, though.
I saw it, and I don't see. I've wrestled with this because I was like, we've gone 1-0 down. Is it as company changed it so it's like damage control a little bit? But then I don't know if he's got that in him. I don't think he's got that. Like, he wants to attack, doesn't he?
No.
So I've just been like, that's what I've been wrestling with. But yeah, second half, I think Man United's game plan was obviously to stifle us a little bit. And to be fair, given credit, they probably did manage to do that, but they didn't have to work that hard. I think we just ran out of steam.
Yeah, no, we didn't offer much in the second half. Thanks for the comments. Get them coming in if you haven't already. Stu Kill, interesting name, or is it Steve Wickel? I don't know. But he says, thought overall we were good. Although second half, we lacked creativity and company was too slow to make the changes, pretty much going on what Sam said. A couple of comments going on about our backup striker. Harry says Obafemi would be the backup. I'm not sure.
He's not fit, is he?
Much with Obafemi. Is he still injured right now? I think that's coming from when we're talking about AFCON, so they're probably referring to AFCON at that moment. The true Red, who is a Forest fan, not a United fan, says played very well, especially in the first half. He's getting, Forest fan.
Converted.
We could have been 2-1 up if we had taken our chance. Unless this is a United fan, I can't remember. Our chances have been that little more relaxed. Signs of improvement, definitely with the results start to follow. Research says after the last 2 performances, we will be fine. And then he follows up to say we know how to score goals. We've proved that against Villa and Spurs. Harry, see, I said this in the whatever it's called, full-time reaction, fan reaction, whatever. I know why he's stuck Trezor on that side, because he won the Belgian Pro League Player of the Year playing on the left. But there was one opportunity that Koleosho had to run at Dalot, and he skinned him and then got him booked. I do not get why company's then gone, stick him on the other side against, is it Riguian? I can't pronounce it. Too ill for this. But it just didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense to me. Sam, what are your thoughts on that decision?
I don't know. Because I think you could go to that. You could go to that type of thing and be like, moving Koleosho was a big thing. But in the grand scheme of things, like when the sub happened, it's like Gudmundsson's gone off, and I originally thought it was Koleosho who was coming off, and I was like, yes for Trezor coming on, but no for Luke coming off. And then, as much as I don't like Johan getting injured because he's had such an issue with injuries, when I realised it was Johan, I was like, Trezor and Koleosho on the same pitch, opposite wings, fine. They should be interchangeable regardless. He also can do to Reguilon what he did to Dalot anyway, and he did prove that he was still okay against Reguilon. But I do think it was a weird decision to have a guy on a yellow card who, about 6 minutes into the game, skins him and gets him the yellow card. I'd have just had him running at him all game.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I also don't think that actually was a huge factor into why we didn't get anywhere going forward, because Koleosho, and this is no disrespect, and I don't want to sound miserable, because I do see the positives in what we're doing, but Koleosho's end product is also still part of the debate with him. So yes, he can get round players, but sometimes he doesn't always make that right decision. And I did find in the game, like when he was running at Reguilon, unbelievable. But every now and then it's just the last ball, it's the last touch. It's, do you go inside? Do you take the wing? Do you play it into the box? Do you go yourself? And I don't quite think he's got that part of his game yet. As soon as he gets that, he is this 30-40 million pound player. But I don't think that change massively changes the outcome of the game. But I do see what you're saying. Like, he should have been running at Dalot the whole game. But
I agree. I'm not sure if we win the game if he's there. I'm just sort of like picking out the bones out of the game. Neil, your thoughts though on Koleosho as a whole? I mean, I agree with everything Sam said there. Really, I think nobody's questioning that Koleosho's end product could be better, but at the same time, he's 19 years old, isn't it? And we all know that you don't have many 19-year-olds that that can do everything. So that will come with more experience, better decision making. That will come. But he's a fantastic player, isn't he? So far, he's been an absolute fun to watch.
It's class, right? Disclaimer here is in no way at all am I saying he is Ronaldo, right? But remember when Ronaldo first came to this country and he had
Ronaldo. That's it.
Apart from his final product, it's that situation. He's got it apart from his final product, but he will get it. Yeah. And not for 1 minute for anyone who's clipping it. I'm not saying he's Ronaldo. He's not. But it's that situation where he's got the raw talent. It just needs bringing out of him. There's a player there. There's a proper player there. Definitely.
So good. Yeah,
he's absolutely class in it. Man of the match though, I would have probably given it to Ramsey. Again, I'm not asking for your opinion on that at the minute, but he was class, wasn't he, Sam? I was surprised that he started, if I'm honest with you. I would have had Berg in that position a little bit higher up. But in that first half, Ramsey absolutely ran that midfield for us. He was brilliant.
Yeah, listen. I think we've got a very good player there. I was sceptical of the signing originally because he'd only had Championship football. It's a big step up to the Premier League, and I wanted to see him get the game time early. And this game proved why he works so well. And I think it also proved as to why I kind of want Company to pick his players and stick with them now. He's probably the better number 10. Unless Trezor can actually make a claim for that when Koleosho and let's say Benson was to start more games and he starts playing really well, that could be the team. But I'd like to see him genuinely pick his front four and just go with it, because I think Ramsey from that performance can just kick on. He was so good in the hole. He was so good at getting the ball and turning, and that's what we needed. We need somebody who's just, because in my opinion, what we've not been doing is getting those balls around the corner into players quickly, into players so that they can turn and have loads of space to run into. I feel like we've been doing too much, and we'll go back to Stoke at home last year and Hull at home last year, and we did the same thing: right back to centre back to centre back to right back to left back to centre back, and that is A, boring to watch, and B, it's a team that's showing that they don't have all the answers going forward. What Ramsey gave you was a young lad, give me the ball, give it to me, I'll turn, I'll go, I'll play it, I'll have a shot from outside the box, I'll slip the ball through till I'm doing it, I'm a technical player, give me the ball. And that performance in that first half when he was there showed why in the second half we missed a player like that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I completely agree. I think we've missed a player that wants to get the ball on the half turn and like you said, and then create space and run into that space and play players in. The pass that he played for I'm doing it for when he hit the post, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just a little touch in. I'm doing it if I'm being picky. Should have done better. But there's a player there, and I still feel. I mean, we'll get onto it in a little bit. I want to ask you, Neil, your thoughts on Ramsey, but I still feel with the players that we have that we should be all right, but we'll get on that in a minute. But Neil, your thoughts on Ramsey, and everyone in the comments, get your thoughts on Ramsey. And I know researcher just said, Neil, that Al Dakhil probably the man of the match. I just thought Ramsey was class in the first half. Al Dakhil very close second, and Koleosho played very well as well. But your thoughts on Ramsey, please, mate.
I can see why he started, because Man United's midfield have got McTominay, who's not all that, and Sander Berge has been underwhelming, shall we say. He's looked like he's been running through treacle in half the matches. So to put Ramsey in, it gives us that energy, and it gives us that, what Sam was just saying about that, I want the ball, I'll do something with it to get round McTominay, who's not, let's face it, he's not the greatest. And for me, I can see why he started, although I was surprised he did. I can see the thinking behind it. But we have got a lot of good players and a lot of rough diamonds, and it's like what Sam said there. I think Company needs to just play them now consistently together and let them gel, let them learn how each other plays. And I do genuinely think that we'll be all right. And I think once we get to playing the teams that we're competing with, because we're not competing with Man United, City, who we've played so far. They're not who we need to worry about the teams around us. And I'm very, very excited to see what we're like when we play the teams around us.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and it's difficult. I still feel it's difficult to gauge where we're at the minute, because we've played. We all know who we've played. We've played City, Villa, Spurs, Man United, and Forest. We did very well against Forest, and if it wasn't for I won't get into it because there's a Forest fan in the chat. But if it wasn't for certain refereeing decisions, we may have had a bit more luck, put it that way, and it would be sitting pretty at the minute. But
if we'd had that Luton game. Let's just assume we'd have won that Luton game. We'd be sitting on 4, and everyone's outlook would probably be a little bit more positive.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was going to make. That's kind of the point I was just going to make. Look at Everton's games. Like now, everyone's now suddenly found Everton will be fine. Everton will be fine because they beat Brentford. Don't get me wrong, a good win. They played very well. Dyche changed it around a little bit, and that's what he did against us, didn't he? He changed things around and suddenly found something that works. So they may well be fine now. He may well have found a recipe that works for them. But look at the games that they played. Fulham at home, lost. Wolves at home, lost. Sheffield United away, drew, and now Brentford away, won. Like I said, good result. I feel like I won't say we've had a better start because points on the board, is better than not. But I think we just need to chill out a little bit, and everyone writing us off with these relegation predictions all of a sudden. Yeah, we may go down. I don't think we will. But when we've played the teams in and around us or more of them, then put it this way: if we get beat against Luton next week, then I might start be like, oh, hold on a minute, lads, we're a bit shit. But for now, it's difficult to gauge where I'm at. But Sam, how do you feel on that? Because I know, like you said, that the second half you were disappointed with. Neil, you've just changed position for whatever reason, but we'll take it.
Look, so there's 33 games still left, and I still think that we'll be fine. But those first 5 games don't fill me, and this is my personal opinion. Like everybody else keeps saying, like, oh yeah, but we're still like, yes, we won the league last year, and yes, we played brilliant, and yes, we've brought in loads of players. But that doesn't mean that it all clicks instantly and everything goes. Everything all molds in together, and we start pushing for Europe the season after. It was always going to be difficult. Like if you ever go back to watch our prediction videos and you lot all say 10th, I'm like 15th, 16th, because it's still going to be hard. But in this situation, it doesn't mean that me as a fan, I have to sit there and be like, well, it's going to come. The first 5 games have been awful to watch in certain parts. Like we haven't played brilliantly in every game. We have conceded like 13 goals. We have currently got the worst goal difference, and we have only got a point to show for it. And 5 games in, I'm not worried. I'm just being a realist. To those first 5 games, first 5 games that I've watched every second of the game, I can name one game where we actually did all right, which was the draw, and the first half in the game against Man United, but we've come away with nothing. Like that's the pessimistic side of the first 5 games. But then you've got 33 more games coming in, and these 33 more games, we could pick up loads of points. We're all spitballing how it could be, and I do genuinely think that we will be better and it will click, and we have seen progress. But nobody can really sit there and be like, "Oh, you're silly for thinking that things aren't going to get better," because currently there is no great sign of it happening right now. If we play Luton and pick up 3 points, then everything changes. 4 points on the board. Then you don't have this niggle in the back of your mind saying, yes, we're a game behind, but we've played 5 games and we've only scored 3. We've conceded 13. We have bad goal difference and we haven't massively threatened the goal that much. My biggest thing after all of that is I still think we'll be fine. There's 33 more games left, and we've probably had one of the hardest runs of any team. We've played nearly.
That's the thing for me. Genuinely, that's the thing for me, mate. Is that if it had been the other way around, we would have been hysterical the other way. So if we'd played Luton, Sheffield United, Everton, and Wolves in our first games and won all 3, we'd be like, oh, we're going to storm this league. It's Absolutely. It's what Joe was saying. We're difficult to see where we're at the minute just because of the fixture run we've had. It's been really tough. But I think, there are no easy games in the Premier League, are there? But apart from Luton, let's be honest. But
that's going to come back to that in a week.
I know, it really is, isn't it? We can't edit that, can we? I think we just need to see where we're at when we've played the teams around us who we are competing with. We said last year we'll hand out some beatings and we'll get a few, and we're getting the ones now off teams that we probably should get them off. But we'll probably hand some out to the teams that we should hand them out to. So we'll just see where we're at when we've played Luton, Wolves, Everton, Sheffield United, etc.
Yeah. I'm gonna, I still like. I'm same as Sam. I still think we'll be fine. I think it's a bit of an overreaction. Everyone's saying the worst 3 teams to ever come up. This is a joke. The gap between the Premier. Fans of other clubs aren't looking at the start that we've had, and you two are then saying it's probably one of the hardest. It has to be the hardest. I know Sheffield.
They're right in what they're saying, though, mate. They are right in what they're saying. The gap between the Championship and the teams we've played, which are the top 7, is But the top 7's miles ahead of
the
8th
top.
and 9th
The top 7, 8 of the Prem is getting further and further away from the rest of the Prem. Not just the Championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Harry says, we probably won't win the league this year now, so that is a shame.
33 games left, mate.
True. Win all 33, then we'll be in with a shout. I do want to talk about a couple of individuals as well. I know we've mentioned Ramsey and how good he was in that 10. In the attacking mid. But he was very good, but I expected Sander Berg to play there. He came on and had a very good cameo again, Sam. He was quite passive in the first few games, and I was disappointed with him. I think what Neil said about him running through treacle, I agree with, but I think he's one of them players that just looks like that when he runs. But he was playing.
I don't think he was fit, mate. I don't think he was fit.
He may not have been, but I think the reason why he was so poor is because he was playing out of position. He's not a defensive mid. The Sheffield United fans that have come on the show and spoke to us about him have always said play him in a forward role, and he will do very well. He played very well against Forest, and he played very well against Man United as well when he came on. He played well, didn't he, Sam? But what do we do with him now? Because I can't see him getting that spot back. I think it's Ramsey's now.
I think he gets the treatment of some players that Burnley have had in the past, like Barnes, when we played Blackburn at home. Yes, you can play anybody there. And, I'd like to think we still could have beat Blackburn 3-0, 4-5-0 on day anyway. But Barnes came in because of his physicality. And I think Berge is a similar thing. Like, if you need to be physical against a Luton side who are going to be physical, it's less likely that Ramsey should play those games where he'll be stifled of creativity, and you just need somebody who's just big and brute force. But I do think the thing that's happened with Sander Berge, and I'm also at fault for it. I also thought he were a DM. Like, when we signed him, I'm like, this guy's built like a DM. Surely he's played DM or a box to box type player, but he doesn't look like that. And I think he got put in that game against City 2 days after signing, looked totally lost, but half the team looked lost against City because City are that good. The next game, you're also playing a pretty good Aston Villa side. You're not going to look unbelievable. Again, you've only been there a week. Now we're starting to see a good version of Sander Berge, which is like for example, the goal that absolutely should have stood against Forest. That is good football. It hits him here. He's got his body in the way because he's big, and he's brought the ball down. He's got it across. He's got the presence of mind because he is a clever footballer. Teams like Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal wanted him 2-3 seasons ago, so he's not that bad of a player. On your point of, is it tough to get him in the side? In my opinion, no. You just have to pick the games. Ramsey showed in certain games that he should be a starter, but Berge against Forest did nothing wrong to not start this game against United. So it's one of them where now it's a good headache. This isn't a bad situation now. You can chop and change the team a lot, especially with those two players, because they are so different.
Makes it tricky for him to gel, though, doesn't it? If he's changing it every week, it does make it tricky for that to happen, and that's what we need at the minute. So I think he does need to pick the same team for a couple of games now. So I'm talking that one position, because on the wing, I think most fans have now come round to the fact that Koleosho's got that left-hand side tied down. In my opinion, the right-hand side is still up for grabs, because Benson, as good as he was last season, I still think his best role is from the bench. I just think he's an impact player. And as good as he was, and as good as he was even in games that he started last season, the jump up is so big that I don't think he's ready to start yet. I do think the cameo. So I think the right-hand side is still up for grabs. I think most of the other positions are pretty dead set, on most of the players. Charlie Taylor's solidified left back for me weeks before he even played a game. And now he's done so well since he come back in, by the way.
He was my man of the match in the last game. Maybe not so much this one. He was a little bit less involved, but in the last game he was easily my man of the match. But no, I think it's I think that position is a good position, because if you have 10 players that all play the same role and play there every single week, you can afford to say, okay, Ramsey and Berge, you guys can basically do 45 each, or one of you starts when we need you to be physical. I think that works in that sense.
Yeah, Neil, your thoughts on Sander Berge and how we get him into the team? Do you think Sam makes a good point? There's horses for courses. Yeah,
I think so. I think I wasn't that impressed with him in the first few games, because, I thought that was his best position. And I thought, is this really what we've fought out for there? But yeah, he has grown into it. And I think it is that case of he's going to have to just pick certain players for certain games, and I think that's why Ramsey got in, because it's that sort of game for Ramsey to, because he wants the ball and he is fast and that sort of stuff. And Birds will probably play against Newcastle on Saturday, for example. So yeah, it probably is. But I mean, it's interesting now whether Benson and Zeruri will get a look in for me. I agree with Benson. As much as I love him, I don't think he's a starter. But yeah, it's a nice problem for the company to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I do feel it's not harsh, but it's a shame to see them not getting as much minutes as they would like this season. But it's a ruthless business. It is what it is. It's the same with me.
Well, Zeruri, to be fair, Zeruri's was his own doing that he got
true.
out of the team. To be fair, so
good point.
And then Benson is just question marks over whether he's fit, because he always seems to be strapped up or
he's always got a niggle, hasn't he? He always seems to have got a niggle.
The thing that we always forget though with these players, and I do think it's part of the parcel, is and they said it during the game, we are the youngest team. These are young players, they're not finished articles by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
These are players that were fantastic in the Championship, and I do think it's part of so when we went, and again this is going to sound like a proper moan, but when we went down, everybody was it's a free pass this year. Whatever happens, we're building the team back up. And then we ended up doing as well as we did, and we went right up. And everybody's expectations went from okay, we'll make the playoffs. Oh, never mind, we'll finish second. Oh, now we're first. We're gonna go up. We've got 100 points. We're gonna break the record. And now we've gone into Premier League, and everyone's mid-table light work. These players came from nowhere. And in the Championship, you see those types of players pop up left, right, and centre. And then if you see those newly promoted teams, and you think, oh, he was a key part last year, they're always the first player to be taken out. They're always the first player to be replaced by a big money signing. And you always sit there and go, why? Because he's 19, 20. He's now a Moroccan international. He's only played in Belgium before, and he's played one season in the Championship. The Premier League is so different. You make a mistake in the Premier League, teams counter 3 passes like that. That's what United did all game. They had no real possession in the game where you ever thought, wow, this United team's outplaying us here. It was literally win the ball back, 4 passes, and they had a chance, and they were, 4 against 3. Players like that need a little bit of slack. We had expectations of Zeruri, Benson, and everybody to come in and be class. They are still kids. I mean, Benson's not, but a lot of them are still kids. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt in that sense.
Yep, fair enough. Couple more individuals I do want to ask you about as well. Neil, I'll start with you. We've mentioned Charlie Taylor already, so we'll just have a quick overview on that. But it's good to see him back in the side. We're all calling for it. A lot of people had some reservations about whether or not he'd be able to play in that system, but I think he's definitely added a different dimension, hasn't he? He's definitely solidified us 100%. I don't think anybody can say he hasn't.
He hasn't, and I was one of those who doubted he fits the system. I still do, to be fair, but I think what we're seeing is having a left-back playing in left-back. It's simply all it is. Yeah. It's calmed everything down at the back. It's given balance to that back 4 or back whatever it is, and and I agree with you. I think he was man of the match last game. He was absolutely phenomenal, and he's done a fantastic job. Probably played his way into the team, because at one point we were wondering what's he doing there, because he wasn't getting a look in. Company hadn't sold him, and he was just floating around, and now he's come back in and looks like he's probably there to stay now. So he's done very well. And also I thought Bruno was good the other day as well, on Saturday. But again, he ran out of steam second half. So, 2 players who questions over at the start of the season have come up trumps for us recently.
Yeah, no, I agree. Charlie Taylor's done very well since he's come back in the side, and I do think he's one of the first, not the first names, but he will be in the team pretty much every week going forward. Unless, again, put it this way, he's not going to play a right back at left back anymore. I think that experiment's done. Sam, you mentioned it there. I do want to quickly go back to something before I ask about Trezor. Is how United were picking us off sometimes and then attacking really quick. Do you not think we're a little bit sloppy, even though we played very, very well in that first half? I think United had 3 main attacks in the first 15, 20 minutes that all came from us giving the ball away. And I know it's a style of play, I know it's going to happen. But there was a lot of times where they were unforced, weren't there? What do you think about how sloppy we were in possession in that first half?
Right. So I had this conversation with my dad during the game. So
Turf dad.
Big Steve, you know how it is. So I never have, and I never will have a quarrel with a player trying to take someone on in an attacking position. Like if Koleosho's running at someone and loses the ball, it's fine because you've still got the entire midfield and defence who realistically a team shouldn't be able to get through, like just because you've lost the ball in attack. Like my biggest thing is when we were playing around the back, like every single time we do that, we invite pressure. So they start basically at the halfway line, and then gradually it gets closer and closer and closer. And because we never get the ball forward, we just play backwards and backwards and backwards. Gradually, they start to get so close to us. And the thing that was really doing my head in, right, was, you know, when Bayer was like doing that turn of pacing?
Yeah.
Why, when the space is right in front of you over there, and it's all there, and you could literally just knock it and go, and then he has to come into you, why were they waiting and getting that close to somebody and then doing a turn of pace? Because every time we did that, they seemed to get a foot in, and then it was literally just, foot's in, play it to McTominay, ball to Bruno Fernandes, square across the box, and Højlund's got a shot, and you're like, that's come from you just walking the ball into him. Like, we need to either get the ball with Al-Dakhil or Bayer, spread it wide, and don't hoof it long. Play into feet and then play back into midfield. Like, it was something so small, but we did it so much. Like, defenders carrying the ball, but only wanting to carry the ball when they were so close to defend. It is, but it's because but we've been doing it. We did it against Forest, where Bayer tried to step out, and rather than going into the space, he goes into the man and then loses the ball. And then what we've planned to do with that attack has just gone. And we're then just defending for his lives with less men. And it just, that's the slightest thing that's been doing my head in. Like, other than like the not being able to get it forward, like just defenders running into attackers and then being like, they took the ball off me. What? It's like, you've got 16 yards of green grass that way. Why would you run that way? Like, it's just been doing my head in. But yeah, we played class, so.
I do enjoy your Sam rant, and I like it how your rants normally start with listen, but that's how you start with right. Yeah. So mix it up a bit.
Maybe listen's just for a written rant. Listen's probably just for a written rant.
That's just for the group chat. You guys just when I'm in my feels is when I say listen.
Yeah, I do love a listen because obviously there's only me, Neil, Sam, Nathan, and I like old Isaac and Dale in the group chat. So not many people do get to see that. But the listen comes, and it comes on its own first. It says it's listen, and then it says Sam is typing, and I'm like, yes, he's off.
Sometimes minutes can pass between listen and the actual rest.
Yeah, in the moment, like you just like if I put listen and then I start typing, you just need to say like, just stop, because I just can't calm down.
We're all just waiting. I'm not getting into stuff.
I remember things.
I get me popcorn.
And I'm like, do you remember when Robbie Blake passed that ball and everyone's like, what about?
We will start wrapping it up soon. I know Neil needs to go. Sam's got football training. I'm not well, but I do want to ask about Trezor. We are the long side, by the way. It says, go on, Sam, lad. John says, has he finished? Do you feel better now, Sam?
Sure.
We'll get another.
Sam reminds me. Yeah, we'll get one on messages. Sam reminds me of the main character in Brassic. I can't relate to that one.
I can't say that I've seen it, but
I've not seen it. Trezor. I do want to ask about Trezor. I thought he, for want of a better word, was underwhelming. In fact, no, it's a brilliant word. I'm going to say poor. But I thought it was underwhelming. Although research, he immediately disagrees with me. He says Trezor looked good when he actually got him into the game. What I liked about Trezor is he wanted to get the ball. Like, he wanted it. He wanted to get in the game. So there was that side of him. But then when he had the ball, and I know some people, I got a message on Twitter saying he wasn't at our level. Like, what the fuck are you actually talking about? He wasn't at our level. He's not at our level. He's clearly good enough, to, in my opinion, to play in the Premier League. But to turn around and say he's not at our level already, I think is a bit much. But I like the fact that he wanted to get in the game. And I just felt that when he had the ball, he wasn't the best. But your thoughts, please, lads. I'll start with you, Neil.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He wasn't. But what I like is that he's come out after on his own social media and said that himself he's got a lot to learn, and he's acknowledged it himself. So he obviously knows that. But I mean, to make your debut at home against Man United, there's still a name. I know that they're crap and they have been for a while, but there's still a big name. So to come and make your debut against Man United at home, it's going to be a little bit daunting. I don't care who you are. So I agree with you, but I do like the fact that he came out afterwards and said that he's got a lot to learn and go forward. That's a good mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agree. Sam, your thoughts on new signing Trezor?
Yeah, I agree with you. It was underwhelming when he came on, but you can tell there's a player there. You can tell that he's a tidy footballer. Like that's why I was saying, like, do we think he could play? I know he played the majority of his time on the left, but I believe they brought it up in the game as well. They were saying like he sees himself as like a number 10. Like,
yeah, I think
that's another situation like that. You like, in fairness, you have to look at, because in my opinion, he's the player that we always want. Like we all wanted at the start of the transfer window. And it's like, if you brought him in now and he has the stats to back it up, and I know it's a different league, but just try it. Like, if we're in this position now where we're giving ourselves, let's say, the first 10 games to just experiment and try things out, just try it. Like, against Newcastle, just put him in the 10 and see how he does, because he got loads of assists last season. So there's clearly a player there. And I did think his cameo appearance against Forest was good. I think he showed a lot in that. But, yeah, I agree with Neil as well. Like, it is a tough game. Like, Man United, regardless of the position they're in, the transition they're in, they're still the biggest club in English football. Like, whenever you play against them, everybody knows them. No matter from what corner of the globe you come from, like, Manchester United. So anyone to come over and play the first game at home and play Man United is going to be daunting. So you've just got to give him time, really.
No, yeah, I agree. A lot of the players took time to bed into the new system. He's just going to be exactly the same. Before we do go, though, Salford tomorrow, how are we feeling about that one? Obviously, we'll play a mixture of first teamers and fringe players. Hoping to get the win, though. Neil, your thoughts? So is it going to be comfortable?
I don't think it'll be comfortable, but I think we'll get the win. But yeah, I'm expecting Big Al to do commentary, because Gary Neville's allowed to commentate on his club. So let's let Alan Pace do it.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. Sam, your thoughts on the Salford game tomorrow?
I'd like to see us get a win, because I every time we have cup games, I just see it as like, it could be the catalyst for kicking things on, like winning mentality. So go into the game, give a couple of lads a go, try and get something from the game, and kick on from there. Go to Newcastle and shock the world.
Shock the world. Less said about that Newcastle game right now is the better. I don't think we'll lose 8-0, if I'm honest with you. But no, I can't see us losing that. I can't. That was I did the game yesterday at work. They were shocking, Sheffield United. That's the worst defense I've seen for a long time. I'll
be gone at half time if it's 8-0. Like,
well, it was 3-0 at half time the other day, to be fair. But yeah, John Fulton says Masengo, Odebear, them sort of players. I agree. Get them sort of players in. Your Bennies as well. Yeah. Get Benny and not in there. Muric, give Neil something to shout about.
Man.
These sort of
I do want to see what Masengo though can bring to the team. I do want to see, because he's got a profile of a central midfielder that I like the look of, like comfortable on the ball, somebody who can just play on the half turn. Like, I love a centre mid that can just play on the half turn, and he can get the ball into Ramsey and we can go up through the motions. That'd just be unreal.
Yeah, well, hopefully we play these types of players. But is there anything else you boys want to add before we wrap up?
No, just patience. Let's just be patient. Wait till we play the teams around us. We can't judge us off what we've done so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it don't get any easier, does it? Newcastle up next.
Nope. They are tough games, but you've just got to give the whole thing time. Like, we gave it time in the Championship. It's a totally different league. It's one of the hardest leagues in the world, with some of the highest paid players and the best players in the world. Like, at the same time, in everything that I've said, like, you just have to give us a little bit of time. I think after 10 games, we should know kind of where the team's at. And then the games after that is kind of like, if we start to lose against like Palace, Luton, Wolves, that's when you can start having conversations where you're like, okay, what's the crack now?
Yeah. Neil, you mentioned Christmas. You were going to say something, or
Christmas? If if we're still a bit like, well, I'll send you my list. But if we're still like this at Christmas, that's the time to worry for me. But until then, we've got a lot of football to play yet, and a lot of the teams around us. So there's no need to panic yet.
Yeah, fair enough. One last comment. Flyber Fred says, nice work on the radio this morning, Joe. Spot on about the crowd. Yes, I was on BBC Radio 5 Live. And it was in the afternoon, Fred. So you must have just woken up. Sorry, lads. I had to get that in there. I didn't tell Fred to comment that. He commented it, and I thought, I am having that.
I'm sure the text in the post there.
There's a Geordie.
No, you're on my bloody airways.
Cancelling everything. But thank you, Sam, for coming on. I know you're busy. You've got to get to football training now. Neil got a young baby. He's going to have to put the little girl to bed now. I'm the same. I'm unwell. Got to get Parker to bed. And then I am working from 8 till 2. So that should be fun. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Oh, sorry, Fred. He says, I live in the US. Fair enough, mate. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you've just joined the show now, you know how it works by now. When I end the stream in a minute or so, you can rewatch it at your leisure. Or if you want to go and listen to the podcast, it will be uploaded later tonight, and you can listen to it on your commute tomorrow or whenever you wish. But thank you, Sam, for coming on. Thank you, Neil, for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Especially thank you to those commenting. Flyover Fred, last comment says, Sam, have a look at Brassic.
I'm nervous.
So we'll have to watch it. I'll let you know what he says, Fred. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will
start with listen.
It will. See ya.
Goodbye.